Hi, this is Anthony Lighthall. Thank you for joining me today on this podcast entitled From Dreams to Actions, where we talk about business goals, positive energy, and following your dreams. In today's episode, we will be talking about do it yourself. So, with today's episode on do it yourself, it's going to be a good one because it's going to be great for individuals who are self starters or self motivated, and then individuals who need kind of that push, I will say, as well, when it comes to actions and initiatives. So, it's going to be a great episode today. So, do it yourself. Let's go ahead and get into it. Just kind of think about the term sink or swim. We've heard a lot of that before. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. So you're basically getting into a pool, into a lake, some type of body of water where you are going to have to figure it out. And it's the sink or swim methodology. So you go in and either you're going to teach yourself how to swim or tread water during that time and survive, or you're going to sink and you're probably going to drown. And that's what you have to do when you're thinking about doing something yourself or creating a product or a service or whatever that is when it comes to your goals, your personal goals. So, as an example, with Sink or Swim, there's so many resources nowadays with Google and with YouTube and podcasts and books have just been around since the beginning of time, where there's self-help books or do-it-yourself type of material. And the thing is, I've definitely uh, submerge myself in this environment of teaching myself a lot of different things. But here's the caveat to that is you can read and research and watch as many YouTubes as you want, but it's nothing like actually doing it. And so the thing of, being able to, capture what someone else is doing and trying to mock that. But when you actually do it and take action, sometimes it's totally different than what you read or what you Google search. So a lot of times with that sink or swim, it's like, okay, I think I have enough, that I've learned. Now it's time for me to just jump in, and it's a confidence booster as well. You just have to start. Um, the other thing too, when it comes to doing it yourself, think about the individuals. I'll say your cheerleaders. That you connect with or have in your network. And we always hear about the individuals that say, hey, let me know when you start that, or that sounds like a great idea, or hey, I have a connection to connect you with. And then sometimes you'll never hear from that person. You'll reach out, you're focused, you have the momentum, and you definitely want to reach out to that person that, shared those resources with you, and then you just like never hear from them. So it's all talk with no action. And those are things you have to be very wary about and conscious of when you are doing it yourself, with your own goals, business goals, or personal goals that you have set. So my thing that I do, I've switched my mindset where I believe action. I'm a big action person. Yeah, you have to discuss, you have to strategize, you have to uh, communicate, collaborate, teamwork, all of that good stuff. But there needs to be action with those words. The delegation, who's doing what, what's the next project or what's the next timeline for us to collaborate, because that is part of the action with the teamwork. So let's keep that momentum going. So I'm always an action person, and I'm just very minimal with wanting to talk about what I'm going to do and actually just do it. Another thing too, you really have to protect your energy, because it takes a lot of energy and focus to accomplish some of your goals and some of your dreams. So when you talk to certain people, they may put you down, they may be negative, they may not be supportive, and this is all on you. You're the one who thought of this. It could have been a team effort, of course, but at the end of the day, this is your dream. This is your goal. This is your baby. And so you really have to protect that, because you'll get a lot of different opinions from different people. Everyone has an opinion. So whenever you talk to different people about what you're doing, or, hey, what do you think? Just be very cautious and conscious of that, because it could really deter you from actually having a great idea and sparking that and it continuing to take off. So I would suggest really just sharing your thoughts and aspirations with other positive people, like-minded individuals, which is huge. Because if you're talking about starting a business and you're talking to someone who's never held down a job, or you're talking about becoming the CFO or becoming partner, and someone has never even worked in a corporate environment or has never went to law school, they're really not going to resonate or understand your language. And it's not the native language you're speaking. It's a metaphor for getting that point across in that communication. They're not going to understand you, and so they may think of it in a negative sense when you talk about what you're trying to accomplish and do. And then this could, on top of that, hold up the process for you, because then you're going to second guess yourself. You're going to think you're not good enough. You're going to say, oh, well, my mom, said this opinion about it. I didn't think about it in that way. That was a good point. When really, yeah, it might have been a good point, but that shouldn't stop you from doing what you want to do, as an example. So you definitely want to keep that momentum, keep that progress going, and not to be deterred from, your overall goal in what you're doing. Uh, Going back to the action, the speaking and then the action part, I like to move in silence. I like people that move in silence. It's such a like stealth type of movement. It's so I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm gonna do this, and then boom, they pop up with something after 6 or 9 months, and you're like, I didn't even know this person was working on that. You see a lot with entertainers. You see a lot with there's a lot of things that you'll see an entertainer or a movie star who is very involved in something that is like with philanthropy, with giving back. And they may have done it for the last 2 years, but it's not like they're throwing it in your face. So they're always talking about what they're going to do, or some people are invested in different business opportunities, and they could be a race car driver, but they have all these properties that they own and it's under another name. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that person owned that, and sometimes it's just people moving in silence. So it's one of those, they sneak up on you type thing. And so I like to do that. That's something I personally like to do, where I have these thoughts and these ideas in my mind. I have a certain, people that I'll probably connect with as a small little focus group. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do this, and it may work or it may not. That's the sink or swim. It may, um, it may be an accomplishment. It may be something that just skyrockets, or it may fail. Again, it's the sink or swim. So moving in silence can really help, because then you believe in your craft and what you're trying to do so hard that no opinion or any negative viewpoint will deter you from what you're trying to do. Okay. Um, some other things here, some other examples, when people uh, speak with others and they say, oh, it's not even New Year's resolution, but it's something like, I'm gonna get back into the gym, or I know I gotta have to go back to school and get my bachelor's or my MBA, or I'm gonna go for this new job. And sometimes when you follow up with that person, they haven't done anything. They're still in the same spot. But I think it's the excitement that you have to be careful of as well, where you're so excited to start something new, where you want to tell everybody and kind of get that pat on the back before you even did anything. So, using those examples, if it was something about you wanting to go back to school, just go back to school, just enroll. You don't have to tell everybody. Just do it. Just the title of this podcast, do it yourself. Just go ahead and sign up. Next time you have that conversation, or you're, a cup of coffee with some friends or family, oh yeah, I signed up for school, or I'm in school. That's even better. I'm in school, and oh, I didn't even know you signed up. Yeah, it's about 3 months I've been in class, and I'm in midterms or in finals. By that time you'll almost be wrapping things up, and that's really cool. And then people really respect you for that, because you just took initiative. They didn't even know you were doing that. And that's something that you can, definitely discuss with them. Some other things to keep in mind too, is that, keeping your head down, staying focused, protecting your energy, minimizing, opinions from everyone, that just helps you get you closer to your goal. and closer to your accomplishment. And every day is a new day. Every day is a new slate, but every day is a new opportunity to reach your goal. Your goal is uh, 50 steps away, but every day is a new step. Or every other day is the next step. And so you have to continue, 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 continue until you reach that goal, that ultimate goal that you want to reach. And then after that, if you have more goals or hey, I didn't know I was going to get to these 50 steps this quick. Let's add on what I originally had in my overall plan with my goal. So I'm gonna keep on doing it and doing it myself. And then as you expand and you grow, I'm not saying that you need to do everything on your own and by yourself, because you do need a team in order to grow, in order to scale. But I'm saying the initial start, you usually have to have a mindset, a solo mindset of being by yourself and doing it yourself. Uh, so think about being on an island by yourself. You have to survive. What does that entail? You have to learn how to fish. You have to learn how to clean that fish, cook that fish, crab, whatever's out there, wildlife, birds, anything. It's all a part of survival. And at the end of the day, it's just you. You have to, figure out how to sharpen that twig or that tree branch to make a spear, to protect yourself, to grab food, how to make a fire, how to protect yourself from the environmental elements, and building shelter. And all of these things with survival on that island. And that's what you have to do when you are starting a business or when you are reaching a goal. People always talk about, oh, if that were me, or, what they would do, but it's different when you are actually doing it. And, being an island of one is a great mindset to think about when you are creating something and building something and doing it yourself. Another example I wanted to share with that would this, talk about real estate. Real estate is awesome because there's so many avenues to real estate, buying land or wholesaling, fix and flip, whether you want to rent out houses or you want to buy apartment buildings or a three flat or all types of things that you could do with real estate. And the thing is that with having so many different options and avenues, this really helps with, figuring out what probably works best for you and having these options and probably starting off something small. Maybe you have a condo, you moved and you rent that out, and now you buy a three flat, and maybe you live in one of the units and you rent out the other ones that are vacant. Then you perhaps buy an apartment building and then you're owning that, and then you are able to build capital to purchase your own home. And the great thing is then when you talk to people about it, you can give them that knowledge, those gems, and that guidance, like, hey, this is how I started, this is what I did. And the other thing too with real estate, I've read different books, I've followed so many different people, and I think nowadays people make real estate is very profitable and it's great to build your wealth, but I think people nowadays make it look too easy. And that's another great point with real estate is like there's it's all about your risk tolerance. And sometimes when you get different opinions and you're not thinking of an island by yourself and not doing it yourself, where you get opinions like, hey, I was a landlord and it was terrible. I was always getting calls at 2 in the morning, or, I used to fix and flip houses and I was a wholesaler and I didn't make the money that I thought I was going to make. But everyone has a different risk tolerance. Everyone has um, a different view, let's say using this example on real estate, but with you, you can try different things out and see what works for you. And again, reading all the books, watching the YouTubes and listening to different gurus and different people who are in real estate, it's not the same as when you actually do it and get your feet wet and again, sink or swim. Um, so those are things too. I think real estate is such a great example because it touches on so many areas on building that wealth or taking an action on something and then just trying it out and really assessing what your risk tolerance is, when you get into the real estate game. A couple more things here in regards to learning the process is the fun thing is you become the student and the teacher. So after you have engaged in the knowledge and listening to everyone else's don'ts and do's, then when you do it, you are the student and the teacher because you are learning as you go and you are applying what you learned or what you saw, even though it might be slightly different or not exactly the same as when you did it hands on and did that action. And then always, also just to kind of, wrap this up is, don't be afraid to be the shot caller. Don't be afraid to be the boss. Don't be afraid to be the brand because that's what you're going to have to be when you take your dreams and turn it into action and be that leader, so definitely, be that person who just kind of steps up and takes charge because at the end of the day, you are the CEO of yourself and you are the one making these decisions if you are an adult, of course. You're making these decisions for yourself. So again, don't be afraid to just, be that leader, make those mistakes, do it yourself, keep your head down, stay focused, believe in what you're building and what you're doing. And, I don't want to guarantee, but I'm highly sure that you'll be, very proud of yourself and feel very accomplished, even if it's the smallest thing. Like I said, you got 50 steps to go to that goal or 150 steps to go to that goal, and you've made 20 steps in, less than a week or a few days. And it's like, yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I got the momentum. And, keep it going and you're doing it by yourself. And then you can tell people what you've been doing for the last, 6 to 9 months or the last 2 years and really have a great, conversation with them and also be able to help them out. So again, just to wrap this up, thank you again for joining me on this series from dreams to actions and with this segment today of do it yourself. I hope you all definitely enjoyed. Feel free to share and follow and like and comment in regards to this segment today on the podcast. And thank you again for watching. And always remember to follow your dreams.